So this is going to be a bit of a how-to guide on how to disassemble the wing mirror and then replace this bottom section with a dynamic indicator. Now what do we mean by dynamic indicator? So this, as you can see, it just flashes on and off. With a dynamic one, we get the sweeping motion like we do with most newer cars. So newer Audis, newer Volkswagens have a bit of a dynamic indicator both on the wing mirrors, front lights and rear lights. What we're going to do is focus on doing that, and then underneath is a puddle light which is yellow and actually has a load of water in it at the moment, so you get a bit of a weird flicker on the bottom. So we're going to replace that with an LED one. I'll bring you in a bit closer and we'll start dismantling this wing mirror. So the first step is really weird thing to do, but is to push your wing mirror all the way back. That will allow you to then get access to the mirror, which if you've got a suction cup, great. You don't need to adjust the mirror, but if you haven't got a suction cup, if you adjust the mirror all the way out, you can get your fingers behind and pop it off. So with the suction cup, it makes it a little bit easier because all you do is just pull and off it pops. And then you'll see you've got two connectors here. These are your heated mirror element, and that's what keeps your mirror from frosting up in the winter. And tip to get these out is to get a screwdriver and put it in the middle of the spade connector and just open them up a little bit. So if they're corroded, they'll pop off much easier with just opening that spade up, and then out it pops. Just makes life that little bit easier. And we can save this for later. The next step is to remove two Torx screws, which this kit actually comes with a Torx bit. So it's the top left and bottom right, and on the other side it's obviously the opposite. So we'll just remove these screws. It's a T10, so for those searching their toolboxes, if you don't want to use the tool that it came with, which isn't the best, then it's a T10. I luckily have these little screwdrivers which are perfect for the job, with a little T10, and pop those screws down for later. So the next step is to pull the external mirror cap tabs down. There's two tabs, one here and here. So you remove the screws, remove the tabs, and in theory, this should just pop out like so. And the same with your mirror cap. So if you pull this forward, it allows you to push the mirror cap back and out of place. Again, store that for later, and then remove the front section. Now we can get to the lower portion. So if we snap this back in place, there's a pin here just underneath this area, and the first step is to pull this catch back. Very difficult with one hand, which will let this pin out, and then you need to pull the mirror forward away from the pin that's on the inside there and drop down. And now we can just unplug the cabling. So on my wing mirrors I have an indicator, obviously as you can see flashing away. I would turn it off, but it's only 12 volts and I want to see the difference straight away and make sure it's all working, so I'm going to leave it going. So these, little tip, if you push it in, push the top down, you should be able to wiggle it out like so, and then the side light bulb will just pop out of the puddle light. In my casings I have puddle lights. These tend to fill with water and they're quite old and yellow now. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in LED puddle lights as well as the dynamic lens here. So here's the new casing as well as the new LED puddle light. That puddle light will literally slot into here. Now that will be held on by the mirror, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a run of double-sided tape here and a bit of double-sided tape here, and that will allow us to install much easier and stop this rattling around. So we have it, just a small run of double-sided sticky tape there and the same on the top, and we'll just peel that and stick it straight into the casing. Okay, so next step is we need to replace the wiring that we've just taken out of the old casing. So that's the indicator connection now done, and you can see we're getting the dynamic light, which looks really good. And then we're going to connect up the puddle light. So the puddle light's comprised of a green and a blue and black cable, and a black and a red cable. It's just making sure that that red cable aligns nicely with the side light bulb green cable. So it's green to red, and they do have a small rubber outer casing, so if you can put the wires back through and into the new puddle light casing, you can get the rubber just to sit on the outside, and that'll just prevent any moisture getting inside. We'll now put the casing back on. So it's a bit fiddly, and what you've got to make sure you do is get the pin that's here lined up, and then on the back, remember those clips, they have to align with the hole at the back. There we go, I'll just bring you in for a closer look. So there's that pin down there, that aligns in that little hole, and then the clip again clips into that hole there. What I think we'll do before we put anything else more on the mirror, just make sure that puddle light works. So now we can reassemble the mirror. So we want to push the mirror back out to make it a little bit easier for ourselves. And you can actually put in the T10 screws now once you've got everything lined up. One in the bottom right and one in the top left. And that will just hold everything together while you put the mirror cap on. So now in the mirror cap you've got some ridges here and here, and they go into slots on the back, as well as this ridge here which needs to sit at the very back of the mirror. So you'll slide it on, this starting this side, going to this side, and then you've got to be pretty accurate with getting these slots in. Once you've got it, it's not too bad. It's just getting it lined up. There we go. And then just as a reminder, these clips at the bottom, which we flicked off before, you just clamp the casings together and clip those clips on. And there you have it. We'll just put the mirror back in place. So make sure you put your connections back on. And then your red connector. And give it a little bit of wiggle and a push. And on it goes. One complete dynamic indicator install. Hopefully that helps you install your dynamic indicators on your Mark 6 Golf. This also applies to Mark 5s, and Mark 7s are very similar as well as Audi, Seats and Skodas. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you like this sort of content, and we'll catch you next time. You'll come back better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back.